so long ago, most meals were prepared and eaten at home. When something went wrong with the food, only a small number of people in the household were affected.
There's no doubt about this homemade stuffing. You can't beat it.
Now, we make fewer meals at home. We eat in restaurants or buy prepared meals. In this situation, one case of food poisoning can harm hundreds of people. It can close down a business and put you out of a job. As a food industry worker, your first duty is to make sure food is safe. In this program, we'll look at the food chain, from manufacturing and processing to large kitchens, supermarkets, sandwich bars, and other places that prepare and sell food. If you work in the food industry, you must follow good manufacturing practices. If you see anything that threatens to adulterate food, take action. If you can fix it yourself, do it. If you see flaking paint or rust or lubrication grease which has fallen or may fall into food, take action before it becomes a health hazard. At the minimum, tell your supervisor. If you notice chemicals such as pesticides or cleaning chemicals which are not being used according to the label instructions, take action before they come into contact with food and become a health hazard. If you see mold, take action before it becomes a health hazard. Pests such as insects, rodents and birds should never be allowed anywhere near food. Use screens on windows and doors to keep out insects and birds. Check door seals to prevent rats and mice entering. Rodents like to keep one side of the body close to a surface, so keep traps flush against walls. Avoid cross-contamination of equipment and containers, such as scoops, buckets, shovels and conveyors. Cover containers to protect them from contamination from items such as paint chips, debris from construction and airborne particles. Avoid nesting containers inside one another. If they are wet, nesting prevents them from drying properly and can encourage mold. Nesting can also introduce a contaminant from the bottom of one container into another container. Invert containers and store them in a sanitary position. Poor delivery practices can also affect food safety. Food delivery vehicles must be used for food and nothing else. They should be designed so that they are easy to clean and are cleaned and sanitized regularly. If the food needs to be kept frozen or cold or hot, the delivery vehicle must be able to do just that. Food delivery vehicles must be registered with the appropriate authorities. When food is delivered to your premises, check to make sure proper delivery practices have been followed. If you work in the food industry, you must consider 4 basic areas: food poisoning, personal hygiene, handling and preparation, and storage and display. What is food poisoning and how does it happen? All food contains bacteria. Some food may contain poisoning bacteria. If the conditions are right, the poisoning bacteria can grow rapidly. In ideal conditions, one single bacterium can multiply to millions within hours. Some common food poisoning bacteria include Salmonella, commonly found in meat, poultry, eggs, and egg products. Bacillus cereus, commonly found in cereals, rice, meat products, and packet soups. Staphylococcus aureus, commonly found in meat and poultry dishes, egg products, mayonnaise-based salads, cream or custard-filled desserts. Many of these poison bacteria are not killed during cooking. The symptoms for food poisoning vary, but include nausea, stomach cramps, vomiting, diarrhea, fever and headache. The onset times range from 30 minutes to 72 hours. The symptoms can last from 1 to 5 days and may affect some people more than others, especially children and older people with weaker immune systems. In Australia, there are up to 2 million reported cases of food poisoning each year. What causes bacteria to multiply to the point where people who eat contaminated food become sick? Usually it's a chain of circumstances. 1, there is bacteria on the food. 2, the food temperature is in the danger zone between 5 degrees and 60 degrees Celsius. 3, there is moisture present. And 4, there is time for the bacteria to grow and multiply. You can break this chain by improving your personal hygiene, handling and preparation, and storage and display practices. Good personal hygiene is vital. Wash your hands with antibacterial soap and warm water before handling food and after every work break, and also after any of the following events: visiting the toilet, handling raw food, using a handkerchief or tissue, handling garbage, touching your ears, nose, hair or mouth, smoking, changing babies' nappies, and handling animals. Dry your hands using a disposable paper towel or an air dryer. Keep your nails short so that they are easy to clean. Don't wear nail polish, it can chip into the food. Tie back or cover long hair. Wear a hairnet if necessary. Wear only plain banded rings and plain sleepers. Wear clean protective clothing over your normal clothes. Do not eat food, chew gum, spit or smoke in food preparation areas. If you have cuts or wounds on your hands or arms, make sure the wound is completely covered by a waterproof bandage. If the wound is on your hands, wear disposable gloves over the top of the bandage. Bandages and gloves should be changed regularly. Use brightly colored bandages that can be easily seen if they fall off. Do not handle food if you have a gastric infection or illness such as diarrhea, stomach flu or gastroenteritis, or if you have hepatitis or a cold. Do not touch cooked and ready-to-eat food unless you are using clean utensils or are wearing disposable gloves. Proper food handling and preparation are critical to prevent food poisoning. An important issue to consider is cross-contamination. Raw food contains bacteria, some of which can cause food poisoning. Properly cooked food should not contain the same bacteria. That's why it's very important to keep raw and cooked or ready-to-eat food separate during preparation and storage. Wash all fruit and vegetables in clean water before use to remove soil, bacteria, insects and chemical residues. You should use separate utensils, chopping boards, bowls and so on when preparing raw food and ready-to-eat or cooked food. Poultry such as chicken, duck and turkey should be prepared with separate utensils from those used for other meats. If it is not possible to use separate equipment, thoroughly wash the equipment in hot water and detergent and sanitize it between uses. The key is to avoid cross-contamination from one kind of food to another. You have bacteria on your body. Everybody does, whether they are healthy or sick. Even healthy people can spread bacteria onto food through touching it with their hands. If you must touch food with your bare hands, first wash your hands thoroughly. Raw food, which is to be cooked, can be safely handled with bare hands, but again, for cooked or ready-to-eat food, clean utensils such as tongs, spoons, spatulas, or disposable gloves should be used. If you are using gloves, change them regularly. If the gloves become torn or contaminated, or if you take them off, don't try to use them again. Throw them away and put on new gloves. Never use the same gloves you used with raw food with cooked or ready-to-eat food. And never clean while wearing gloves and then touch food. Following preparation, cook food immediately and cook it thoroughly to kill most bacteria. Food should be cooked from a thawed state to ensure that it is cooked through. Where it must be cooked from a frozen state, take extra care to make sure that the food is cooked right through and that its internal temperature reaches 70 degrees Celsius. Food just taken out of the oven should spend no longer than 1 hour at room temperature. The food should then be placed in a refrigerator to make sure the temperature drops below 5 degrees Celsius as fast as possible. Large portions of food cool faster when put into shallow trays no deeper than 10 centimeters or divided into smaller portions. While frozen food is thawing, bacteria start multiplying. If the food is refrozen, the bacteria do not die and are still there when the food is thawed again. For this reason, you should never refreeze thawed or partially thawed food. When thawing food, place it in the bottom part of the refrigerator to ensure that it remains cold throughout the thawing process and does not contaminate other food. Microwave ovens can be used to thaw food, provided the food is cooked immediately afterwards. Food that is to be frozen should be packaged into small portions to allow it to freeze and thaw in the shortest possible time. Food packaging material must be clean, durable and non-toxic. Choose packaging which is suitable for the food to be packaged and will stand up to the storage conditions you intend to use. Store surplus packaging material away from the food preparation area to avoid contamination. Check that containers are clean before using them. Do not reuse single-use containers. When serving food, take care to ensure that all cutlery, crockery and drinking straws are protected from contamination. Use only clean, undamaged crockery and cutlery. Correct storage and display procedures will help reduce the growth of dangerous food bacteria. The temperature danger zone is between 5 degrees and 60 degrees Celsius. Bacteria multiply faster in this temperature range, so you must ensure that food spends the minimum possible time between 5 degrees and 60 degrees Celsius. Keeping food at the correct temperature is also good business. It reduces spoilage and maximizes shelf life. And of course, fresh food always looks better. Certain types of food are called high-risk foods because they provide a good growth environment for bacteria. These high-risk foods include foods containing meat, poultry, dairy products and seafood. Always keep high-risk foods below 5 degrees or above 60 degrees Celsius. Foods which are not high risk include dried food powders in their original packaging, jars and cans or other containers of food which have been processed by heat. Once these foods are opened, they may become high-risk foods. Time is another important factor affecting bacterial growth. You should always prepare food from the freshest possible ingredients and serve it as soon as possible after preparation. Storing food properly is vital. Food must be stored in areas designed for that purpose, such as refrigerators, cool rooms, pantries and food storerooms. Food should not be stored on the floor or on wooden pallets, as this encourages insects and rodents and makes cleaning difficult. You must have appropriate fixed temperature measurement devices in cool rooms, refrigerators and freezers. Keep chemicals and equipment used for cleaning, as well as clothing and personal belongings, away from food storage areas. If you use food storage containers, make sure they are new or in good condition and have only been previously used to store food. Cover food with tight-fitting lids, foil or plastic film to prevent the food from drying out and to prevent anything from falling into it. Once a can of food is opened, any remaining food should be transferred to a suitable container and not stored in the can. Make sure all storage containers are correctly labelled and dated. Practice stock rotation. Use older stock first. This ensures that food does not remain in storage too long. Preventing cross-contamination is vital during preparation, but equally important during food storage or display. To prevent food poisoning, keep cooked and ready-to-eat foods separate from raw foods. This stops bacteria from the raw food contaminating food, which will not be cooked again. That's why raw food should always be stored beneath cooked food, to prevent contamination from dropping liquids. Wrap or cover food displayed on counters to protect it from contamination. Keep food in refrigerated displays at or below 5 degrees Celsius. Keep frozen food intended for resale in a frozen state at or below minus 15 degrees Celsius until sold. Allow adequate space for air to circulate around the food. Bain-Maries are designed for keeping hot food hot, that is, at 60 degrees Celsius or above, and not for reheating food. If they are used for heating, they will heat very slowly, and food will spend too long in the temperature danger zone. Preheat your bain-marie before use and operate it on the highest temperature setting. Heat food so that its core temperature is at 70 degrees Celsius before you place it in the bain-marie. Check the temperature of the food in your bain-marie regularly with a clean immersion thermometer to ensure that it does not fall below 60 degrees Celsius. Keep food in a bain-marie for a maximum of 1 hour. Do not stack food in bain-maries above the level of the trays. Stacking too high causes the temperature of the food to fall into the danger zone. Tags and labels can carry bacteria, so only tag food that will be cooked, for example, raw meat. For cooked and ready-to-eat food, use tags or labels on the trays and not on the food itself. Food safety might sound like hard work, but if you get into the right habits, it becomes part of your daily routine. When you consider whether the food you prepare is safe, just ask yourself this question: would you want to eat it? Food safety. Good for business, good for everyone. Food safety. Good for business, good for everyone.